Right guys, welcome back to the channel and to this Tau army overview and discussion. And I've got Lucy with me.
Hello.
So, Lucy, you've played the Tau 5 or 6 times now.
I have, yeah.
So, new Codex time.
Mm-hmm.
Especially after you might have beaten me 4 consecutive times with an index. The Tau are good. There's a lot of changes, mainly things coming down in points and a few tweaks here and there.
Yeah.
Commander spam is gone.
Yes.
You never played it, but
No.
you understood the theory behind it.
I did, and I can see why people would have done it.
Especially in competitive settings.
Yeah, but I just... Right, this might sound weird, silly, considering I had the same weapons on every mission, but just having a table full of drones would have just been so boring.
Thank you.
And as well, it's like the air class is boring, so just what's the point?
Yep, absolutely.
Anyway.
So, I hope you've enjoyed the little flyby of all of the Tau. The Tau army is complete.
No,
Apart
it's not.
from Mr. Carolyn conveniently gave me a commander in a cold star battlesuit. Because I don't have one.
No, funny
So-
enough, he gave us it like 10 minutes early. We were looking in the shop and looking at it.
I nearly bought
And
one.
if we hadn't already bought boxes of other stuff and other characters for Sigma, probably would have picked it up.
Yep. So, of course, Lucy, when we played together, we used the Tau Sept rules, which is Overwatch on a 5, because it was nice and easy to remember.
Mm-hmm.
But it also means that you had access to all the special characters. So, Long Strike, Dark Strider, Shadow Sun, and Anvar.
But not just that. That Overwatch on a 5, when I we were reading all the new stuff, to me that just came straight out and shot me in the head, saying yes, shot me in the head. Excuse that. Jumped straight out at me and was like, that's the one I liked and wanted. To me, that is the best thing.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people, even Winter, said that that's probably one of the better ones.
Yeah.
For me, I think bork'an, increasing heavy and rapid fire weapons by 6 inches. With a pulse accelerator drone next to fire warriors means you're rapid firing 3 shots because of Cadre Fireblade at 21 inches. So that's the bork'an one. Dal'yth is if you don't move at all, you count as being in cover. It's all right, especially if you play Tau, if you play Fire Warrior Heavy. But the chance of your Fire Warrior Heavy, you're in cover anyway.
Yeah. Plus, that is very effective in the later rounds, the first few rounds when you need to move to, say, jump on objectives.
Yep. I think there was Sasia, which is reroll 1 field hit per unit. Now, if you've got Rail Rifle Broadsides or you've got Iron Accelerator Riptides, that is immensely powerful. You're basically getting a free command point per unit. It's almost like the Salamander one for the Blood Angels. Farsight, you get to reroll 1s to wound if you are shooting at something that is within 6 inches.
That's good, but do you really want to be
That close.
Yeah.
With Farsight's pretty good in combat, so for once.
Yeah.
So it's not bad. Vior'la is the same as one of the AdMech ones where you count rapid fire weapons as being assault if you advance, so it does give you the maneuverability.
But then again, the joy of rapid fire is getting extra shots when you get close enough. So if you advance, you obviously cannot.
You lose rapid fire,
Yeah.
so at most you'll get 2 shots if you're within half range because of Cadre Fireblade. Each one has its merits. I think each one is pretty decent.
Yeah, definitely.
But Lucy likes the Tau Sept.
Yeah, definitely.
So we had a look over the Warlord traits, and none of the Warlord traits really
Jumped out
at all. I mean, the standard ones, for example, Precision Hunter, reroll wound rolls of a 1 for your Warlord against vehicles or monsters. It's handy for fusion commanders. Beyond that, I don't really see it being that effective if you've got like an Ethereal or something as your Warlord at all.
Yeah.
Through Unity Devastation, in each year's shooting phases, a Warlord picks a unit that he can see, and anybody within 6 inches of your Warlord that shoots at that, if they make a 6 to wound, counts their AP as being 1 greater. Fantastic for Anvar because he's given Fire Warriors reroll 1s to hit and 6 up feel no pain. And then if you've got Cadra Fireblade there, he's got an extra shot within half range. And any 6s that you hit wound with, AP -1 on your strength 5 guns, you're already wounding better than average on most things. So it's pretty decent, but again situational. A ghost walks among us. When your warlord advances, simply add 6 inches to their move characteristic for the movement instead of rolling a dice. So it's just automatic 6-inch move.
Yeah, but do you want your warlord out by itself?
If you're playing aggressive, then maybe. I think that one's probably very useful for vior'la, or because you ignore the fact that I forgot to mention as well, if you're vior'la, you don't suffer the penalty for advancing and firing assault weapons, and you don't suffer the penalty for, I think that was it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly. So it's useful for vior'la, and I think it's probably useful for Farsight to get that close. You've got through boldness victory. If your warlord is within 12 inches of an enemy at the start of your shooting phase, you can reroll failed hit rolls made for your warlord until the end of the phase. That's not bad.
No, not at all.
But again, like, that is probably something that if you put 4 burst cannons on a commander, hitting on 2s, rerolling failed hits, but then you probably got Markerlights anyway.
Probably. Definitely, if you mean.
Yep, and then Exemplar of Kauyon, I think is how you pronounce it. You can reroll failed hit rolls for your warlord as long as they have not moved this turn. If they've moved, they lose this trait. So it's not bad if they stay still, they basically get to reroll their failed hits.
Yeah, I like that one. I like that one a lot.
The next one is an Exemplar of Montcar, which is the opposite way around. So your warlord can advance and still shoot as if they hadn't advanced. So that Cold Star battlesuit with 4 hard points now, with 4 fusion blasters, moving and advancing 40 inches, and then shooting 4 fusion blasters.
Ouch.
You're going to be within 9 inches as well, so you'll be doing the double damage, the 2d6 damage. There's then ones for each of the Sept, but I don't feel like any of them are particularly great. So other than that, there's a lot of really, really cool stratagems which we played around with.
Oh yeah.
And we will get to those as we get to the units, as they come up with. Markerlights changed slightly in the new Codex. 3 and 4 swapped around. So basically, 3 means they ignore cover, and 4 means you don't suffer the penalty for heavy weapons and assault weapons. I don't feel like 3 and 4 are that useful. 2 is very useful if you've got Seeker and Destroyer missiles. We got very, very lucky with the Storm Surge with 2 Markerlights. In fact, no, it was Long Strike. Because we had 1 Markerlight on a unit that Long Strike was firing at, and Long Strike has a new rule that his battlesuit allows him to count the Markerlights on the unit as one more. And obviously with 4 Seeker missiles, Lucy was tempted to pop them on turn 2, I think. And I was like, no, because you need 6s to hit. Just wait. And then as soon as we had 1 Markerlight on, I think it was something big. It might have been, was it the Redemptor or something?
I think wasn't it the Knight? Oh no, because that was round 1.
It might have been the Knight, I can't remember. But basically when he was hitting on 2s and then re-rolling the 1s because of 1 Markerlight, because he was using his ballistic skill, was massive. And the Seeker missiles were absolutely phenomenal. And again, the Storm Surge with the Destroyer missiles, if you've got 2 Markerlights on something and then you suddenly hitting on 3s if he's got his anchor down, dropping up, re-rolling 1s.
Yep.
So a lot of very, very good stratagems. Markerlights, a lot of people do and don't like them. Some people say, well, why should you pay for them when, like, Space Marines and Eldar and stuff like that just get re-roll 1s for free? Why do we have to buy drones to get it?
Because Tower very good. Already.
Yeah, they are very, very good. Nevertheless, Markerlights are very useful. So, without further ado, let's have a look through some of the units. Okay, so HQs.
Yes.
Well, let's start with Shadow Sun. She gets to gets to elect Kauyon or Montcar can't remember which one it is, twice in a game, which is phenomenal. Let's have a look. Genius of Carry On. So, stand her in the middle of lots of broadsides and riptides and a storm surge.
Yeah.
Combined with drones that might be there to tank wounds for her, combined with the fact that stealth suits can actually take wounds for her as well, is brilliant.
Yes.
She is formidable herself. She's got a 5 invulnerable. You -1 to hit her if you do target her because of her stealth stealth suit rather. Yeah, she's fantastic. She's a commander, so only 1 per detachment now, which is a nice change. You can take 2 shield drones and a command link drone with her. So the shield drones obviously can jump in front on a 2+ now.
That's better.
For Savior Protocols. Then they get a 5 up to ignore that because they're a shield drone. The command link drone, you pick 1 unit within 12 and it can reroll once to hit. So for about 150 points, she's brilliant. She can even infiltrate, and you can actually put her anywhere outside the enemy's deployment zone. Sorry, anywhere that's not in your enemy's deployment zone and more than 12 inches from an enemy unit. So she can infiltrate as well. Yeah. So really, really cool. Then we've got Anvar and an ethereal which is just out of shot. Now it's talking about a normal ethereal first, Lucy. Ethereals are really, really good at hiding, and they're a great buff character. I think they're only about 50 points.
Really?
Yeah, really, really cheap.
Yeah. Wow.
So, you don't want them in combat. They ain't gonna shoot. Okay? But the fact that they can take a hover drone is useful if you need to run out the way because you can go a little bit further, you can jump over units, makes them maneuverable if you need it. So there's a couple of things that ethereals can do, okay? First of all, they dish out their leadership to friendly Tau Empire units within 6. Their leadership 9.
Very nice.
So if you've got Fire Warrior squads, for example, which are leadership 6 and 7. Even if you run them in a unit of 5 or 6, even if you lose 3 or 4, chances are you're not going to fail your morale test, and even if you have to roll it, a 6 would still pass as well.
Yeah, because it automatically passes, doesn't it?
Because a bonding knife, yeah. In addition to that, in your movement phase, you can invoke 1 elemental power to all friendly Tau Empire infantry and battle suits within 6 inches. Calm of Tides, subtract 1 from morale test for affected units. So if you're running massive Fire Warrior squads, even less of a chance to fail. You've got Storm of Fire, which means you can reroll hit rolls of 1 in the shooting phase if they remain stationary in the movement phase.
Which Tau common?
Yep, rerolling 1s if you're hitting on 4s, you're rerolling 1/3 of your misses, which is good.
Yeah.
Sense of Stone, whenever you take an unsaved wound, roll a d6 and on a 6 the wound is ignored. So 6 will feel no pain against all damage.
Brilliant.
Stick your Fire Warriors and all of these guys behind a barricade. Suddenly you've got a 3-up armor save with a 6-up feel no pain. And of course reroll them once to hit. Now you can't hit multiple ethereals. You can have one dish out one buff and the other one dish out the other buff. You can also reroll the dice for affected units when they advance. So, you know, if you're playing you can't take ethereals in Farsight. No. But if you want to play a hyper aggressive army like vior'la, then very useful. But if you're not taking 2 ethereals, you can take Anvar. Now he is only available to Tau Sept armies, and we came across a bit of a question with these rules.
Yeah.
So Anvar is accompanied by a 2 ethereal guard. Okay? Only one of the unit can be included in your army. Fine. When you take drones with suits, it says once they're deployed, the drones count as a separate unit. Doesn't say that for the guard. So when you have somebody in combat against this unit, do we choose to lose the guard first because they've got the same save, they've got the same toughness, nothing else is any different, just attacks and what they hit on and stuff like that. So Tony charged us, for example, with Shrike, and he got like 3 or 4 wounds through doing D3. We killed the 2 guards first and kept Ornvar alive. So if anyone has any clarification on that, please let us know. But Ornvar, for not even the same cost as 2 ethereals, Lucy, has a total of 10 wounds if you count the 2 guard as well. If you shoot at him, he has a 5-up save, but he increases his save by the AP value of the weapon he's being shot at with. So if you get shot at with a fusion blaster or melter gun, which is -4, that's +4. So essentially he's got a 1-up save. 1s always fail, we know. Which is brilliant. Obviously that does not work in combat. He doesn't have an invulnerable save, so don't let him get in combat. It says, whilst Ornvar is on the battlefield, you may re-roll morale test for all friendly Tau Empire units. So suddenly your leadership 9, passing automatically on 6s with more stuff, and re-rolling because Ornvar's on the battlefield.
Yep.
You ain't going nowhere. Even if I think the only way to do it is if you take 5-man Fire Warrior squad, lose 4 of them, then roll a 5.
Yeah.
And then you're re-rolling. And let's face it, for command points, why would you not take 5-man squads? Yes, 10 and 12-man squads are better because you can daisy chain to get buffs and stuff. But ultimately, you want command points in the Tower army. So next up, we'll go with Dark Strider. So Dark Strider is a Tau Empire Sept model. He's not, I don't think he's amazing. Him himself isn't. It's what he gives that's good. And he's not expensive either. Again, he's only about 45, 50 points.
No way.
Now, he has a pulse carbine, so it's assault 2 at range 18. He does have ballistic skill 2+. But of course, the pulse carbine also comes with a Markerlight.
Yes.
So it's a 2+ Markerlight. And then, of course, if you're within range of an ethereal... In fact, I'm really sorry, I'm going to jump back to Ornvar. He can invoke 2... invocations of the elements per turn. So why would you not go re-roll 1s and a 6-up feel no pain?
Yep.
So of course, if Dark Strider is in the mix next to him, he's hitting on 2s with his Markerlight re-rolling 1s. And then, oh look, I've got an extra Markerlight there. And then of course you can double that up with the stratagem for D3 extra Markerlight hits because, you know, chances are Markerlight's going to hit. You're also going to have another character next to him. You're going to have Cadra Fireblade probably next to him, which is another 2+ Markerlight, which is a very quick way of getting you up to 5 Markerlights if you can roll that 5 or 6 for your D3. But Dark Strider, first of all, he can move before the game begins. He can move up to 7 inches. Okay? But in the shooting phase, any Tau Sept infantry units, so not battlesuits, just infantry, that are within 6 inches of him get +1 to wound against the target's toughness. Against the target that they're shooting at that he nominates. So basically, you choose an enemy unit with Dark Strider, and then suddenly you get +1 to wound against it. Which means that them strength 5 guns that are wounding Imperial Knights on 5s are now wounding on 4s. You get +1 to wound if you roll a 6 to wound because of Ornvar's Warlord trait, which is the -1 AP if you roll a 6. Suddenly, because of his +1, you're at -1 AP on a 5 to wound. And wounding on 4s.
You can definitely buff him to hell.
A lot of buffs and combos that you can pull off here. But the main reason you want Dark Strider, if for whatever reason your opponent does make it into combat past all of them extra shots, re-rolling 1s to hit and hitting on 5s, then if they do survive, probably going to pass your morale, you can simply retreat from combat and shoot again. Now, bearing in mind, you won't get reroll 1s because of Ornvar because you've technically moved, but you still get to shoot with 3 shots if the next character is there. So Dark Strider, very, very good value for points. To pull off all of that combo and make it better again, is Cadre Fireblade. Now, you can take multiple Cadre Fireblades because he's not a unique character.
Oh.
So he's just a character. He is a character, but he's not unique.
Yeah.
So he has a Markerlight and a pulse rifle. So if you don't need the Markerlight, you've got 3 shots within 15 inches. Basically, he allows any friendly Sept units to fire an extra shot with pulse pistols, carbines, and rifles if the target is within half of the weapon's range.
That is invaluable.
Invaluable. Yeah. When you combine that with Fire Warriors en masse, if you've got a pulse accelerator drone in the middle of there, which increases pulse rifle range by 6, then if you went for the bork'an Sept, that means you have a 42-inch range pulse rifle with 3 shots at 21 inches, and you can take a normal ethereal to reroll ones.
Ouch.
And again, Cadre Fireblade is massively cheap.
Yeah, they all seem
40 odd points.
Jesus.
Where you get expensive is the commanders, which we'll come on to a bit later on.
Yeah.
So that is it for most of the HQs that I have in the force, barring the commanders and Longstrike, which we'll move on to soon. Right, so let's move on to troops, strike teams, or Fire Warriors.
Yes.
So, Fire Warriors, pulse carbines are alright, a lot of people like them. They're assault 2, but only range 18. Of course, if you're within 9, if you're within range of a Cadre Fireblade, you will get an extra shot. I'm not a fan of them.
Really?
Yeah, some people are, I'm not. Therefore, all of my Fire Warriors are armed with pulse rifles.
Oh, sorry.
You thought it was the other way around?
Yeah.
No. So, they're very, very cheap. They went down in points, Lucy.
7 points each, is it?
I think they're now... yeah, I think they were 8 and they've gone down to 7. Of course, they're only ballistic skill 4+, but that's what the Markerlights are for. And with weight of dice, simply from number of shots, yep, strike teams are now 7 points instead of 8. I like them.
Yeah.
Bread and butter, you can run loads of squads of them, and they're really, really cheap. In fact, you know what? I wonder what the cheapest brigade we could build is, which is the biggest one for 9 command points. So, there's no reason to not run them in 5s other than space.
Yeah.
If you could, if you're comfortable running 3 squads of 10, go for it. But if you're running 3 squads of 10, run 6 5s. Try and squeeze that brigade. I think they're absolutely fantastic. They have photon grenades, which we always forget about. You don't inflict any damage, but your opponent must subtract 1 from any hit rolls for infantry units that have suffered any hits from photon grenades. Which is brilliant, because obviously, you chuck a grenade on Overwatch, and if you do get a hit, they're at -1 to hit you. Which keeps you alive that bit longer, of course. Everything we've already discussed regarding morale and the extra shots. Now, Fire Warriors can't take pulse accelerator drones. You get them from Pathfinders a bit later. What they can take is a Guardian drone. And a Guardian drone has a 5-up invulnerable save. It gives the Fire Warriors a 6-up invulnerable save. So if you're sitting in cover and you're getting hit with a -4 weapon, you've still got a 6-up, potentially followed by your 6-up from an ethereal. They can take a tactical support turret, which can take a smart missile system, or I think it's a missile pod. So again, it's an extra couple of shots.
Yeah.
Smart missile systems went down by 5 points, so they're now 15. You also now do not pay for the turret.
Really?
Whereas before you had to pay 20 points for it, I think.
That's cunning.
So the fact that you now got a smart missile system for 15 points instead of 40 points is brilliant. Of course, the drones can also jump in front of the Fire Warriors if needs be on a 2+ as well. And that's pretty much all we've got to say about Fire Warriors, other than they're awesome.
Yep.
So much better than they were in 7th. We'll move on to Breacher teams. Now, I like Breachers, but you need to get close with them.
Yeah.
And I think that, if you've got the points, there's no reason not to stick them in a Devilfish. These guys want to be on the move. don't be frightened to advance with them, because the closer you get, the stronger the weapon is, and the better the AP. Now, even with 12 of them, within 5 inches of a Nemesis Grandmaster, we still only did 1 wound. But there was the potential.
Yes. And with them being, again, cheap and objection grabbers.
Yep. Of course, they've got objective secured, so they'll trump anybody that doesn't have it. And they're on the move as well. There is a couple of stratagems as well for breaches. If you target somebody that is in cover, you get to reroll wounds. Which is good when you consider that if you get within 5 inches, each of these guys has 2 shots at strength 6 minus 2 AP.
Yeah.
Brilliant for clearing Space Marines from ruins. Because then suddenly they've gone from a 2-up save to a 4-up.
Yeah.
And they're cheap, they're usable. They can take a Guardian drone, they can take a tactical support turret, and of course drones can jump in front. They've got grenades. One thing that we did do and did remember was the stratagem now. Mortal wounds output for towers very minimal now, which is a bit of a shame. But one way to do it is by chucking a grenade. And if you get a hit, you can spend a command point to do D3 mortal wounds to a vehicle. Which, considering Dread Knight Nemesis Grandmasters with a 3-up invulnerable save or a vehicle, it actually paid off. It really paid off.
Did.
So if you haven't checked out that battle report, by the way, go and check it out. So yeah, I think breaches are pretty cool. I've only got 12, unfortunately, and I've got like 60 fire warriors. So you never know, I might change the guns on a few guys in the future. But next up, we've got Kroot. You like Kroot, don't you?
I love the Kroot.
Lucy painted my Kroot, so thank you. Thank you. Kroot are incredibly cheap. And that's about it. Right. Don't underestimate them though.
No, the D3 wounds is better than flat 1, which I thought they would have.
You're thinking the Krootox Riders.
I am, yes, forgive me.
But Kroot Carnivores aren't bad. You don't benefit from the Sept trait. So these can't fire Overwatch on a 5. It's still only a 6. But you know, they're not bad. They've got rapid fire rifles. They're reasonably maneuverable. They've got 7-inch movement. And of course, you know, you can keep them on the move. They can move 7 inches before the game starts. So, you know, pretty good. Beyond that, there's not really much to say. They've got a 6-up save. Yeah. They're a bit better in combat than normal Tau because they hit on 3s.
Yeah.
But that's it. That's it. One thing that is handy though is obviously if you don't have the Fire Warriors or you just want a rule of cool, you know, Kroot aren't bad. And we did take a unit of 15 for our 12th troop choice. Krootox Riders, we might as well finish the Kroot off while we're here.
Yeah.
You can see a Krootox Rider on the left hand side. I can't see the hounds in that picture, but we've got the Shaper there at the front as well. So the Shaper is a character and he's an elite choice. Incredibly cheap elite choice. He's exactly the same as a Kroot Carnivore, apart from he's got 3 attacks in combat instead of 1. And he's got 5 wounds. 6-up save, obviously you want these guys to be in cover. But if you've got this guy within 6 inches of the Kroot, those rapid fire strength 4 weapons are rerolling 1s to wound. And they can use his leadership, which is 7. It's not great.
It's better than that.
But it's better than 6. So if you lose a couple, they don't have Bond and Knife Ritual. So a 6 isn't an auto pass, unfortunately. Krootox Riders. These guys can move quick. They move 7. They can advance a flat 6. And they've got a rapid fire Kroot gun. Now the Kroot gun is range 48. That means rapid fire at range 24. Strength 7, -1 and D3 damage.
Yeah.
Really, really good. And then considering you're re-rolling 1s to wound, if you've got the Shaper nearby, it's not bad at all. And again, you can take single units, and they're pretty cheap on points. I don't remember how many points they are. but they're not that expensive. So if you're going to fill out a brigade, these are very cheap and not bad elite selections. Let's have a look. So 34 points for the Kroot Rider, and then a Kroot gun. Where's it at? Free.
Huh?
And the Kroot Shaper is 31 points, and they're all elites.
That's brilliant for what you get for them.
Mm-hmm.
I really do like them.
And Kroot Hounds as well.
Yay.
Our Hounds didn't get to do anything, but basically, they've got a 6-up save, they've got 2 attacks, they hit on 3s in combat, and -1 AP.
Yeah, I was shocked at that. Minus.
You can reroll failed charge rolls for this unit when targeting a unit that has suffered any unsaved wounds this turn. There was also a stratagem as well for Kroot, where I can't remember where it was, if I'm honest, but allows you to reroll failed wounds, I think. Right, so Hunting Hounds allows you, for 1 command point, for all other friendly Kroot units to reroll their charges that are within 12 of a unit of Hounds that made a charge. So incredibly situational.
Yeah.
Kroot are okay in combat. If any of you guys are gonna be in combat, it's better to be them than your Fire Warriors.
Yeah, that's too situational for my liking.
Yeah, absolutely agree. So that is Troops and Kroot. So Pathfinders are next. You love these.
Little bit.
You like the versatility, don't you?
Yes, I
Because you can shoot with them, or you can Markerlight with them.
Yeah.
Now, loads of people stick them in cover. Absolutely the right thing to do. But we've done a few things that maybe we shouldn't do.
Charge them.
Well, we hide them in buildings. Yeah. Because in the narrative campaign, Lucy conveniently hid them in the Shrine of the Aquila, and of course I couldn't get to them. And of course, you know, what better place to hide them than in a shield wall?
Exactly.
Pathfinders are brilliant. They're not massively expensive. The Markerlight is what costs them.
Yeah.
Essentially, they're a Fire Warrior, but the Markerlight costs them. They've got 1 less point of save because they don't have as much armor. They're a bit faster.
That's why you put them in cover, in buildings.
In buildings means they can't even be targeted. In cover, obviously, they get a 4+ save. So, there is a stratagem for them, which basically you can advance them instead of shooting.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I think recon sweep. So, you know, if they need to move fast, but I don't see the point unless you're running away from an enemy.
Yeah, or to grab an objective.
Yeah, you should never be moving them really because the Markerlights are heavy. The beauty of them is they can take special weapons. You can take 3 per squad. Now that doesn't say 1 per 5, and if the squad's 10 you can take 3. It's 3 per squad. And what is your favourite special weapon, Lucy?
Oh, I can't remember. It's a real rifle, is it?
It is. And why do you like rail rifles, Lucy?
Because I roll 6s to wound every time.
Yep, she does, and it's horrendous. So, rail rifles, of course, strength 6, -4, and D3 damage each. Rapid fire 30, so obviously you've got to be within 15 inches for the double shot. But if she rolls a 6 to wound...
It does a mortal wound in addition.
In addition, not instead of. The fact that it's -4 means you're slaughtering Marines, which is handy for Primaris.
Yep.
You're almost destroying Terminators without a Storm Shield.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, the fact that it's D3 damage means you can kill Primaris Marines if you roll a 3 or a 4 or more. Same with Terminators, or indeed if you roll 3s for the Grey Knight Paladins or Custodians. Not bad. Of course, if you don't need the Markerlights, you've got the Pulse Carbines, which are Assault 2 at range 18. But like we said earlier, stick them in a drone port. They can't be targeted, and they can shoot out still, even if the drone port is charged. So of course I've also got grenades. and they can take ion rifles as well. Ion rifles are alright. I don't think they're bad. I don't think they're great. You know, there's an argument for both. I happen to have 3, so I've put 3 in. Standard is rapid fire 1, so 30-inch range. Strength 7, -1, 1 damage. If you overcharge it, you get D3 shots, but it's heavy. Strength 8, -1, and 2 damage. But you can kill yourself if you roll a 1 to wound. 1 to hit, sorry.
And I did a lot of that.
Yep. Now, there's a number of things that make Pathfinders good. They can advance at the start of the battle. 7 inches, so they can move before the first turn.
That's good.
Of course, they can also take drones with them as well. They've got Bond and Knife Ritual. Grav Wave Projector. Enemy units beginning a charge move within 12 inches of a Grav inhibitor drone reduce their charge distance by D3 inches, which is good, but you can't hide that. Well, you can put it inside the building, but then it's not going to work. It's still handy. Recon Suite. This unit, the units making saving attacks made by a Pathfinder team that is within 3 inches of a recon drone do not gain any bonus to their saving throws for being in cover. You've got to have a recon drone. It's got to move forward, and yeah. Recon drones aren't bad. Of course, they've got a burst cannon, 2 wounds, and a 4+ save. They're not bad, but you know, they're there. You can also take a pulse accelerator drone. Now, why these guys take it, I'm not sure. But the pulse accelerator drone, you can increase the range of pulse carbines and pulse rifles by 6. Obviously, pulse rifles is what a lot of people do.
Yeah.
Still, 24-inch range pulse carbines isn't bad. So that is Pathfinders. But whilst we've got these guys on screen, let's have a look at the Tide Wall and the Gunrig as well. So we don't have a drone port. It's alright, and it's basically a way to dish drones out. Drones have gone up in points, gun drones, by 4 points each, which they needed.
Yeah.
So on average, you're taking 30% less drones. So the shield wall is 10 wounds, 4+ save, toughness 6. The defense platform's toughness 7, 10 wounds, 4+ save. It's open top so you can shoot out. It counts as 2 separate units once it's deployed, and it can move 6 inches a turn. Can explode, so be careful. But your opponent's got to get through 10 wounds with a 4 save, a toughness 7 or 6 before you can start chewing on your Pathfinders.
Yep. And when it's getting down to its last few wounds, jump your Pathfinders out the other side and run.
Yep. And of course, it's got a Tide Wall field, only the wall section though, which means if you roll a natural 6 for its save, you can basically bounce a mortal wound back to the enemy.
Yeah.
Which is great, because then it's like, do I really want to shoot? So Lucy, knowing her, she has got the models, she would probably put 10 Pathfinders inside the wall section with 6 rail rifles.
I wouldn't do that.
She would. You then got the Gunrig as well, which went, the Supremacy railgun went down by 19 points. It's still a little expensive, I think, but I've got a soft spot for it. I like the model.
Yeah.
I think it's cool. So again, you can stick guys in. It can move. Bear in mind, if it moves, you're at -1 to hit with the railgun. And the railgun only hits on 5s. It has to target the nearest enemy unit unless there's somebody inside of it, which means you can basically shoot wherever you want, but still, it's only hitting on 5s. But if you've got your Pathfinders in, with rail rifles, shoot your Markerlights first. Then at least you're hitting on 5s, re-rolling 1s. Chances are you'll get 1 hit. Supremacy railgun's brilliant. Strength 10, -4, D6 damage, and if you roll a 6 to wound, like Lucy always does, it's an additional D3 wounds. Right, so next up we've got the iconic battlesuit of the Tau. The XV8 Crisis Battlesuit. And of course we've got 2 commanders here. Well, there's actually 3. There's one hiding at the back. In front of you, you can see Shazor Relai and Shazor Ramir, which are the 2 Forge World commanders. Ramir is from dal'yth and Relai is of Kelshan. However, we do sometimes play them as a commander with a shield generator and 2 plasma guns and 2 cyclic ion blasters and a shield generator. And of course, we do use the blacklight Markerlights just as normal marker drones.
Yep.
And that's how we've played them a few times. But of course, commanders can now only be taken 1 per detachment. Good. They are very, very good. They are your jack of all trades. They are your toolbox. So many things that you can get a commander to do.
Yeah.
So many possibilities. Of course, you've got all your standard system upgrades. So +1 to hit against flyers, an extra -1 AP. You know, there's all sorts of gear that your commanders can take. A lot of people shout for a shield generator straight away, which is useful, don't get me wrong, but because of Saviour protocols, most people tend not to and just have drones around them.
Yeah.
There's still the possibility that that can fail now with it being a 2+.
Very little, but
yeah,
still.
And of course, commanders can declare Carrion or Modka once per turn. Once per game, which is if you stay still, you can reroll all failed hits, or units within 6 can advance and shoot as if they haven't moved. Of course, crisis suits also get Manta Strike, so you can just drop them in 9 inches away. Little thing I didn't realise is stealth battle suits, which is Lucy's favourite model, can take homing beacons.
Oh.
And you can place crisis teams within 6 inches of that homing beacon.
Ooh, interesting.
Which means you can get within 9.
Yeah.
So it's handy. Now, I didn't really look at the Cold Star Battlesuit Commander because I never had one until now. So, if you take the Warlord trait, for example, that lets you advance and shoot without the penalty,
Yeah.
take 4 Fusion Blasters and the Cold Star, you're moving 20, you're advancing an additional 20, right?
Yeah.
It's basically, rather than rolling a d6, and then you're shooting 4 Fusion Blasters hitting on 2s.
Ouch.
Now the chances are you're going to be within 9 inches then. And then if you've got Markerlight support from somewhere else, re-rolling the 1s. In addition to that though, people are saying, but drones can't keep up. No, maybe not. Remora drones can, which is the Forge World ones. Now I haven't looked at the rules for the Remora drones, so I'm not going to look at them, but I know they can keep up with it. But if you're ahead of time, or you're thinking, you know, a turn ahead or 2 ahead, maybe there's already some drones that far out. So commanders, absolute jack of all trades, brilliant stuff. Imagine 4 burst cannons as well. So that's 16 shots at strength 5 hitting on 2s.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're going against Tyranids with like a 6-up save on the Gribblies at strength 3, you know you're practically killing on 3s when you've hit. So commanders, absolutely brilliant models. Very, very posable, very thematic, and you can build them so many different ways. Yeah, by weapons.
Yes, I meant.
But of course, if you don't want to do that, there is a whole host of stratagems. You can literally just build them as cheap as you want and stick them in the middle for a few of the different stratagems. And we used a few of these, didn't we?
Oh, yes.
So let's have a look. Where are they at? First of all, there we go. Neuroweb System Jammer, 2 command points. Start the enemy shooting phase, pick an enemy unit within 18 of a battlesuit commander. Subtract 1 from his hit rolls. We did this with the commander that we deep striked right in front of Tony's knight. And we used this on the knight so that if we didn't kill it with 4 fusions, that the knight was going to be -1 to hit. It was very useful.
Oh, yes.
The next one that we used, we got Shadowsun to use this a few times. Command and control node, 1 command point. Commander cannot shoot, but a battlesuit unit in your army within 6 can reroll wounds.
Ah, yes.
If you've got them missile broadsides or an overcharged heavy burst cannon Riptide, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So next up is the XVA Crisis Battlesuit, and like the commanders, these are the toolbox of the army. You can equip them how you need. Basically, toughness 5, so they've gone up toughness, 3 wounds apiece and 3 up armor, and of course they can deep strike. You still don't really want these guys in combat because they're only hitting on 5s, but they've essentially got 3 hard points, so they can take 3 upgrades or weapons. And that's everything from the advanced targeting system, which I think gives the -1 AP to all weapons, to essentially 3 different weapons. So you can take triple plasma, you could take dual fusion, triple fusion, or you could take 2 burst cannons and -1 AP, or 9 flamers on a squad of 3. That would be really, really good. They've of course got fly, which means that if they do get locked up in combat,
they can jump out and still shoot.
And of course, if you're running Tower Sept, Overwatching on 5s, with fusions and plasmas, we found out ourselves it was actually very, very handy for killing Marines.
Yep.
They're not badly priced, but you've got to be careful because the more you start tacking on, the more they start getting really expensive. Obviously, the fact that they can deep strike, and of course you can take drones with them as well.
Can you?
Yep. So you could take marker drones, you could take extra gun drones. You probably want marker drones so that you've at least got 2 marker drones dropping in to support them. But yeah, I think each suit can take 2. Yep, so 2 drones apiece, so you can take 6 drones with a squad of 3.
Yep.
So, not shabby at all. There's not really much else to say other than that, equip them for a specific job.
Yep.
Because they are so versatile, if you're going to go all in with crisis suits, build them to do one job. So if you're going anti-armor, obviously go fusions. If you're going anti-elite infantry, plasmas. Going anti-horde, flamers or burst cannons. So absolute great. We've got 12 fusions and plasmas all the way.
Yeah.
Or check out the magnetization video that I've done.
Yeah.
And you can see how to equip them with all the guns. So next up we've got broadsides and the storm surge. Broadsides have come down in points, thankfully, quite a bit. So the smart missile systems have come down by 5 points apiece, so there's 10 points saving. The high yield missile pods have gone down in points, and the broadsides themselves went from 80 down to 60 points.
Good.
So very, very good. Broadsides have 3 hard points, I think, to take upgrades on. So that's why people, might be 4. But what we've got ours equipped with is 2 smart missile systems, 2 high yield missile pods, and then we normally run them with the advanced targeting system to give them an extra -1 AP, so that all them strength 5 missiles that you don't need line of sight for, that you could be re-rolling because of a commander, have got -1 AP.
Yeah, we found that very useful in the game
against Tony. The Custode jet biker guy was unbelievably tough.
Oh yeah.
And of course the high yield missile pods then become -2. Of course they're all heavy weapons, so sometimes you may benefit from taking the upgrade for them to ignore heavy, but the chances are you're probably going to be leaving them still. So we took the +1 velocity tracker, the +1 to hit against something that flies. Because if you consider it's just something that has the fly keyword, any jet bikes, any grav tanks, any jump infantry, any flyers, your opponent is likely to have something that flies. So they've gone down in points, like I said, about 25% cheaper.
That's
Gone from around about 220 to about 150, 155 for the double missiles. So not shabby at all. The real rifle variant, of course, a little bit more expensive, but when you consider that the rail rifle itself is strength 8, -4, d6 damage, and of course mortal wounds in addition to damage on the roll of a 6, that it's just brutal.
It really is.
Really, really brutal. And of course, like I said, the smart missile systems, you don't need line of fire, and the enemy doesn't get the cover bonus.
Nope.
So broadsides are back. They were a bit too expensive previously, but they're definitely worth it now. They can, of course, be accompanied by drones. So if you want to take some shield drones, or indeed just missile or gun drones, just to tank wounds for them. We played them wrong a couple of times. We thought they had 8 wounds. They don't. They've got 6. 6 is still a lot, though.
Yeah.
So not too shabby at all. Toughness 5. Strength 5 if they get stuck in combat. They do not have fly, though. So if they retreat, they can't shoot. So as much as you want them bunched together, it is absolutely imperative that you've got something to screen to not get them caught in combat. Because if you can't retreat and shoot, nah, you're losing a lot of points.
Yeah.
So yeah, broadsides are back. Definitely a top choice unit, I think.
Oh, definitely. I've used 3 in the campaign at one point, and I just had them one on each end of the mat, and it was...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, of course, we've got the Storm Surge.
Woohoo! We only used it once.
Dice galore. Yeah, actually, we didn't use it in the campaign. When I got this one, it was already built with the Pulse Blast Cannon. There's arguments for the Pulse Driver Cannon as well. I do like the short range, higher strength one.
Yeah.
When something gets too close and you need rid of it, you know, having 2 shots at strength 14 -4, 6 damage
Bye-bye.
is very, very useful. So he does have ballistic skill 4, and of course if you drop the anchors on turn 1, from turn 2 onwards you're hitting on a 3+, and getting enough Markerlights you're also hitting on 2s. You can reroll 1s if you get Markerlights. The command link drone from Shadow Sun we used, we've used before, or of course reroll failed hits from a commander. When you take into account how many dice this guy is putting out, it's phenomenal. However, I don't think he's that big of a heavy hitter. Yes, he does have that pulse blast cannon, but your enemy has got to be very close for it to be effective. Of course, if you take the bork'an Sept, you've got a 16-inch range, close range one, and essentially reaching out to 36 for the longer range. So that is the biggest threat that this guy's got, other than destroyer missiles. And destroyer missiles are one of the only ways to still get mortal wounds in a Tau army.
Yeah, I don't think I got any.
I think you...
Not with him.
With him, we did hit with all 4 against the Land Raider, and we rolled something like 8 mortal wounds. Yeah.
It was a long day.
It was late in the day. I think it was turn 3 when we did it. So, you know, them Seeker missiles, you do need 2 Markerlights because you absolutely need the ballistic skill.
Just want to point out, turn 3 might not sound late in the game, but it was the 8,000 point side game, so it was 16k.
Yeah, massive game.
So yeah, turn 3 was late in the day. Especially when you were up since 6:30, travelling from 7 till 10 down to Warhammer World.
Yeah. So he's got the airburst and fragmentation projector. He's got 2 of them, so that's 2d6 shots. He's got the cluster rocket system, which is 4d6 shots. They're at strength 5. The airbursting was at 4. You've got 2 smart missile systems, which is strength 5, heavy 4 each. So there's another 8 shots at strength 5. And that's it. I say that's it. But, but drop the anchors, you're hitting on 3s. Commander or Markerlight should reroll on 1s or all hits. So, where this guy works is, I think the +1 to hit against something that flies is very good. because weight of dice, you're going to hurt stuff. Or, of course, jump infantry, jet bikes, things like that. You need a shield generator. You absolutely need that 4+ invulnerable save, because this guy is going to get targeted. Las cannons, multi-melters, bright lancers, all of the -4 strength 8 d6 damage weapons are going for this guy.
Yeah.
You need that 4+ invulnerable save. And I think the other upgrade to take is the advanced targeting system.
That is good.
All them strength 5 weapons with an extra -1. And the pulse blast cannon, there's no harm in giving it -1 for its long range, -3 for its medium, and -5 for its close.
I think we used the medium.
I think we used the medium against the flyer. Yeah. Obviously, the last slot you can take with it, with whatever you want. Really, you don't necessarily need the +1 to hit flyers, but I think it's absolutely worth it because there's so much that's got fly. Now, a couple of things that we did with this and the Supremacy armor, stim injectors.
Yes.
It's now a stratagem as opposed to a suit upgrade, and it essentially allows you to regain D3 wounds. Now, if you've dropped, for example, if this guy has dropped 10 wounds remaining...
No, sim injector is where you use the top rocket.
Okay. Repair protocols I'm thinking of is a stratagem. So, if you're on 10 wounds, you're only hitting on 5s with this guy. If you use the repair protocols, you're going to heal D3 wounds. Put you back on the top bracket. If you don't necessarily want to use that, or if you, for example, you've got 1 or 2 wounds left, you know you're more than 2 or 3 wounds away from getting up to the next bracket, stim injectors.
I'd say, what, 1 command point?
Stim injectors might be 2.
Yeah, I think actually.
Stim injector is 1 command point. It's very much similar to the Imperial Knight one, where you count as being on the top bracket.
Yeah.
Which is brilliant.
It really is that.
If this guy's got 1 wound left,
you can still shoot out of him as if he's full health.
Yeah.
The enemy just, if he's sitting there thinking smug as hell, he's knocked you down to 1 wound, you're just going to do nout, and then you just go, 1 command point then.
In addition, obviously, if the Storm Surge is targeted turn 1 and he's dropped the 1 wound, and you've got the broadsides all nearby, and you've got a commander right next to them. Oh look, my Storm Surge doesn't have battle suit, but my commander's gonna carry on and allow all these guys to reroll failed hits. And oh, by the way, one of the missile ones for 1 command point is gonna reroll all of his failed wounds.
Yep. Sickening, I tell you. Sickening.
So Storm Surges aren't bad. They come in at around about 400 points with all the upgrades, but he's definitely a horde control kind of guy as opposed to
a big monster hitter.
Yeah. Next up is one of the biggest changes in the whole Codex.
Yeah. I noticed a big difference from the companion to
the
Warhammer World.
Riptides are, I think, phenomenal. They've come down in points. I think they came down 20, and I think the Ion Accelerator came down by 47 points.
For a gun, that's wow.
It was 107 points before, so it's still 60. It's still expensive.
But it's come down more than it's worth now.
I think Riptides are definitely back again. You're going to see a lot more Riptides coming off people's shelves.
Yeah, out of hiding.
Yeah, and especially with a couple of the stratagems and, of course, with commanders as well. So, they do have fly, so they can retreat and still shoot. They do have battle suits, so drones can tank for them. They have a shield generator built in, but it's only a 5-up invulnerable. So you don't have to purchase one. So,
which I think is, wow.
It's not a 4+.
I know, but still something.
Exactly. So the fact that they've got that and can still take 4 slots for weapons and suit upgrades is brilliant. In addition to the big weapon. So, I mean, both big weapons changed drastically. And both of them have very different rolls.
Yep.
The heavy burst cannon came down 20 points. Now, it used to do a couple of different things. I won't go into the index rules because they're irrelevant. But essentially, it's now standard 12 shots, strength 6, -2, and it's now 2 damage, Lucy.
Yep.
Which means you can kill Primaris Marines and Terminators very quickly and very easily with this gun now.
Yep. And then Nova, 18 shots.
18 shots on Nova charge.
Shots. And what's the to get the Nova? Is it a mortal wound?
You take a mortal wound.
If you're on full health, to get an extra 6. Yeah.
6 shots.
Especially when you can use the stratagem to heal D3.
Get you back up to over 7 wounds remaining.
Oh, you're just laughing, aren't you?
Exactly. And then, of course, tanking wounds on drones.
Mm-hmm.
If he gets wounded. I mean, obviously, you're going to take wounds from the mortal wounds from using your Nova Reactor. If you overcharge, there's no bad points other than simply taking that 1 mortal wound.
Which, for what? For an extra 6 shots? Excuse me. I mean, them 6 can be the difference between knocking a knight down a bracket to killing it.
Mm-hmm.
Which I have some experience with.
Absolutely, and the 2 damage now is phenomenal, and the fact that it came down in price means it's very cheap for what it does, but it needs to go after hordes.
Yeah.
So with this guy, I think, give him an advanced targeting system. Make that -3.
Mm-hmm.
Possibly give him 2 burst cannons. This guy is equipped with plasma, but I think 2 burst cannons is possibly the way to go, or 2 smart missile systems. And I think give him either ignore heavy if he moves, or I can't remember the other one. +1 to hit against flyers. Don't think that one will be great. It's okay, but I think those 2 are probably the best. So +1 to hit against flyers and -1 AP.
I know a lot of people frown upon list tailoring, but I think just depends on on what you're going for.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're going against Space Marines when there's a lot of flying, give them that.
Yeah, absolutely. The guys with the ion accelerators, now, I've stuck fusion on them, and I don't think this is a great idea. You need to be close to use the fusion, so I think I'm going to probably swap them.
Yeah, I noticed how many did we have?
Well, the 2 guys with the ion accelerators have got 2 fusions each. That's 42 points each. They're never once fired.
Nah, they were stuck in the middle of the board. I mean, yeah, we could have deployed them in a more better advantage place, but
you need to be around your buffs.
Yep.
And of course, if you've got an ethereal giving you a 6 of feel no pain and a commander giving you rerolls, you're not going to move them. So I would absolutely give them something long range. Smart missile systems. You don't need line of sight.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So the ion accelerator now only has 2 profiles. It was really confusing before having 3 profiles. So what they've done is they're basically getting rid of the crappy standard one, and what was the overcharged profile is now the standard one. Heavy D6, strength 8, -3, D3 damage.
Yeah.
It's good, but you always want to overcharge the weapon. So it becomes heavy D6, strength 9, -3, flat 3 damage. If you roll a 1 to hit, you take another mortal wound. Obviously, if you've got someone giving you rerolls or Markerlights, it helps. If you Nova charge, it guarantees you the 6 shots.
Mm-hmm.
Whilst I do like that it guarantees you the 6 shots, you might have gotten lucky and rolling the 6.
Yeah.
So you've got to weigh up your options with that one. But the gun itself is absolutely brilliant now compared to what it was. And of course, the Riptides are extremely survivable. They've got the 5 up invulnerable save. Then you can drop it onto a drone, and if it's a shielded missile drone or shield drone, you've got the extra 5 up to ignore that wound as well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Riptides definitely back in business. The biggest thing I think is if you've got 1 or 2 left and they are going to be targeted, you can spend a command point to let them choose 2 profiles
Yep.
from the Nova reactor, which means you can either increase your gun to a Nova charge, you can move 2d6 in your charge phase, or you can essentially get yourself a 3+ invulnerable save.
Which is obviously what we chose.
That obviously combined with stim injectors and repair protocols, Riptides are not going to be easy to take down.
No, but I had a little idea, which get 2 in your army, stick 1 in the middle, be buffed by everything. Put 1 out there to be targeted. Your enemy's going to see it, think, I want rid of that thing, and just concentrate everything on that. Giving the rest of your army the other one to be buffed, and the rest of your army basically left alone. Because I know if I was facing tower and I seen one of them, all what we can have with all the strategies, I would aim every single thing at it until it was gone.
Yeah, it's always worth taking them 2, and it's why Bone from Tabletop Tactics always recommends 2 Yavara.
Yep.
So next up is Stealth Teams. Your favourite model.
Yay!
Stealth Teams are really, really cool. You can infiltrate them. The Shazwi or Shazvray can take a single support system, so they can take 1 upgrade. It might be okay, you know, burst cans with -1 AP is not bad. I don't know. I think they're just bare bones. It's just over 100 points for a squad of 3 with 2 burst cans and a fusion blaster.
Yeah.
They're incredibly survivable. They've got bonding knife ritual. Like I said, they can infiltrate. They've got camouflage fields, so they're -1 to hit. That's shooting and combat.
Yeah, which is very, very useful.
3+ save, stick them in cover. They've got a 2+ save and -1 to hit them. So not bad at all. Of course, they can, I think drones can jump in front of them. And you can also take a homing beacon as well, which obviously goes back to the crisis suits.
Yep.
Which means you can fully deploy the crisis suits within 6 inches of the homing beacon that these guys can take. And flame everything or be within double fusion range. I think if you get first turn, infiltrating these guys up the board, putting your homing beacon down, dropping your stealth your crisis suits in, and blasting stuff off. They're a very, very good aggravation and distraction unit. Very,
very, very good.
Beyond that, there's not really much to say. They're brilliant.
Yeah, they're really. I can say these. Everyone agreeing they must have in any army. Not just because they're the best little models.
And of course, in Maelstrom games, you can push them straight out there, get them all objectives straight away. Good luck trying to shift them.
Do they have objective secure?
They don't. They're elite choices, unfortunately. So they don't have OBSEC, but unless your opponent gets troops on there, they're not going to take it from you.
Yeah.
Okay, so next up we've got the Ghost Keel. I like the Ghost Keel's model. It's a beautiful model. It's one of the most recent models in the Tau line. And yeah, it's really cool.
Yep, definitely.
It can infiltrate, which means it can be 12 inches away from the enemy unit. Your opponent must subtract 1 to hit it if they're more than 12 inches away, so a slightly weaker version of what the stealth suits have got. They do have 2 stealth drones, so if the stealth drone is within 3 of the Ghost Keel, it's a further -1 to hit. The Cyclic Ion Raker has changed slightly, in the form that the overcharged version is now a flat heavy 6 rather than heavy D6. So that's good. Yeah. But you are taking mortal wounds on a roll of a 1 to hit. It's only -1 AP. To be honest, I prefer the Fusion Collider, but you need to be a lot closer to use it. I picked this model up second hand, so it came with the Cyclic Ion Raker. Like I say, I do prefer the Fusion Collider though, so maybe I'll try and pick one of those up. So it's heavy D3, strength 8, -4, D6 damage. It's basically a fusion blaster, but with D3 shots. It's more of a tank killer than what the Cyclic Iron Raker is. The Iron Raker is more light vehicle killer, due to it only having -1 AP. But it's only heavy D3, so you've got less shots. I can definitely see the Cyclic Iron Raker being better at elite infantry killing.
Yeah.
It can take, I think, 4. Sorry, it has 2 flamers. It can swap them for 2 burst cannons or 2 fusion blasters, and can take 2 support systems. I think the 4 invulnerable and ignore heavy weapons for moving. It is probably the way to go, and that's the way we normally run them. So Ghost Keels, fantastic models, really, again, it's that kind of aggravation unit. You know, your opponent kind of has to deal with it, otherwise he is going to start making a mess of something.
Yeah.
The other model that you see here is the Yavara Battlesuit, which was kindly donated by Tony, so thank you very much, Tony. It was an incredible gift. And Yavaras are brutal. They're absolutely wrong. The flamer is 2d6 shots, automatically hitting, but it's only range 8. So if you deep strike this guy back in, he's not going to be able to hit anything unless you run bork'an, which would make it, what's that, range 13? So you could do it with that. Nova charging, simply taking a mortal wound, makes it heavy 3d6 shots. Strength 6, -2, 3 damage each when it's overcharged.
-3.
-3? No, that's the other gun.
Oh, sorry.
So at -2, 3 damage, it's incredibly good. With this guy, you can take 2 support systems. Absolutely, I think, taking either ignore heavy and move for the other gun, and again the advanced targeting system, because if you've got -3 on this flamer doing 3 damage, you want to make sure your opponent fails that save and that 3 damage goes through. Absolutely worth taking the advanced targeting system on him. The other gun is an ion discharge cannon. It's only range 12. Now it's heavy 3, strength 8, -1 for 1 damage. But if you target a vehicle, if you roll a wound of a 6 or more, it does a mortal wound in addition. So it's basically like what the rail rifles are. The Nova reactor profile is heavy 3d3, so up to 9 shots. It's strength 10, -3 or 4 if you take the advanced targeting system for 3 damage. And if you roll when targeting this enemy vehicle, wow, that's a really bad word by Forge World. When targeting this enemy vehicle, the target suffers D3 mortal wounds in addition to all of the damage on the wound roll of a 6 or more. He's 400 odd points. He's got a 4 invulnerable save. Has he got a 4 invulnerable?
No.
No, sorry, he's got a 5 invulnerable save, increasing to a 4 that originates within 12 or in melee. So he's extremely survivable at 14 wounds, toughness 7 like the other Riptides. But as per the bone says, if you only take 1, and what Lucy said, people target it.
Yeah.
It dies.
It could be worth just taking 1 if, for the fact that you know it's going to be targeted, so it gives you the rest of your army a bit more survivability.
Which is why you want the other one.
Yeah. But, like, yeah,
it's a very big investment. Expect it to go down. But pick your target and it will be devastating. Okay, so next up we've got Long Strike and Hammerhead gunships. Long Strike's changed a little bit. He's getting an additional rule that means that he counts the Markerlights as being 1 more than what they actually are, which is brilliant if you take them with Seeker missiles.
Yes.
Because then you only need 1 Markerlight, he's rerolling 1s, and his Seeker missiles are hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s. So, you know, a lot of people do like the railgun. I like the railgun. It's heavy D6, strength 10, -4, D6 damage, and Lucy rolls 6s to wound for days. So what's not to love? Or it does have a smaller profile, which is strength 6 -1 damage, but why you would use that, I don't know. The ion cannon is heavy 3, strength 7, -2 damage. Or the overcharged version is heavy D3, it's strength 8, -2, 3 damage again. So I think the ion cannon is definitely good. I think the railgun is very good. But you've got to be careful of the ion cannon, because if you roll only once to hit, you're going to be suffering mortal wounds.
Yeah, which I did have a few.
Yeah, there was definitely a couple there. I'm just double checking the rail rifle, because apparently it changed. Nope, sorry, it's only one shot.
Oh.
It's not D6, it's heavy D6 if you use the strength 6 one. So yeah, it is only a single shot. So, you know, there's merits for both. Whilst the railgun is very good, it's one shot. With long strike, you're probably going to hit. He's brilliant. He has a, what's it called? A burst cannon. But he can take 2 smart missile systems instead, or 2 gun drones. And of course he can take a couple of seeker missiles. Seeker missiles are different now. Strength 8, -2, D6 damage, rather than a single mortal wound if they hit.
Which I think is better. But then again, one mortal wound is better than having to roll and failing, which obviously some people will have experience with. So
yeah. He does have the rule tank ace. You can add 1 to wound rolls for Long Strike's gunship when it shoots vehicles or monsters. So that strength 10 gun that would normally wound knights on 3s.
now on a 2.
Now on a 2, which is brilliant. What else has he got? Basically the drones can disembark as normal. But what he does is he can add 1 to hit rolls in the shooting phase for Tau Sept Hammerhead gunships that are within 6. So that's why I've got a second one. So again, they're not quite as good as Long Strike. They do hit on 1 point less, so they start on ballistic skill 3+, which is better than most Tau. And of course you've got the same merits for the ion cannon and the rail cannon, seeker missiles and all of that as well. They basically, the only thing they don't get is the +1 to wound and the +1 Markerlight. That's literally the only difference, and 1 point less to hit.
Yeah.
And then, you know, Long Strike's not that much more expensive than a Hammerhead. I think he's about 30 points more. And to be honest, if you've got a couple of Hammerheads, it's absolutely worth it. But again, the same issue as with the Riptides and the Uvaras. If people see Long Strike, they'll target him first. And then we've got Devilfish, which are the transports. Devilfish are pretty good. I do like them. They don't have the aggressive firepower that the Hammerhead ships do. But the transport, they've still got weight of dice. If you take 2 gun drones or 2 burst cannons, you've also got a burst cannon on the front as well. So, you know, they've got decent firepower. They're there to aggravate. It's a tough thing that's going to go in the way. 12 wounds, toughness 7. And it does have a 3+ save as well. They can take seeker missiles as well, so they're not bad. The main reason I would take Devilfish though is breaches.
Yep, which is
because you disembark on 3, you're moving plus advancing, you're gonna get within 5 inches of your target, aren't you?
Yep.
So Devilfish, great choices, but I think not an auto include. Depending on how you're playing, depends on whether or not you would bring Devilfish. And almost at the end, we've now got drones. There's a whole host of them. I mean, they're incredibly cheap fast attack choices. You can take 4 marker drones, which I believe are now the cheapest ones, for a fast attack slot. So, you know, 6 squads of 5 fire warriors, 3 squads of these, and then 3 Kroot riders, and 3 of something heavy. You know, you're going to be able to build a brigade really, really quickly. Gun drones have gone up 4 points. They kind of needed it because, you know, they were getting 4 shots each. I think Cadre Fireblade might have given them another one, I can't remember. But, you know, the fact that drones have changed is for the better, I think.
Yeah.
Like Lucy said, I think gun drone commander spam armies were boring. Gun drones have to target the nearest enemy unit unless somebody is nearby with a drone controller. But with 4 shots at strength 5 hit on 5s, you're probably going to get 1 or 2 through. Mainly there are fine to jump in front of the battle suits.
Yep.
Save your protocols. Gun drones are alright. I think, you know, getting extra dice out there is really good. I can see its merits, but Lucy prefers marker drones.
I do. I think with the 2, we already have so much shooting. Like, that is 97-8% of your
List.
Yeah. So why would you want more shots with...
Might not. Your opponent are probably going to pass a save. I see Lucy's point. I would far rather have that rail rifle or that iron accelerator re-rolling ones.
Yep, exactly.
Than a few extra pulse shots.
Buff the shooting you've got more to make that more effective, because it's buff the big hitters and it's now impossible to stop.
The addition of using drones over Pathfinders as well, whilst Pathfinders are really good inside of a building with rail rifles and stuff, drones have a 4+ save and a toughness 4, whereas Pathfinders are toughness 3 with a 5+ save. Pathfinders are a bit more versatile again because of them extra guns, but drones also move further. Ignore the fact that the Markerlight is heavy, and it can, of course, jump in front of battle suits.
Yeah.
So, you know, gun drones and shield drones, I think you're going to see both, still even at 4 points increase on gun drones. There's a whole host of other drones, such as shield drones, which you're literally going to take to try and keep things alive longer. No one is ever going to target a shield drone with a 3 invulnerable save. The fact, though, that it can ignore the mortal wound it takes for jumping in front of a suit on a 5-up, that's the only reason you take it, is if you want to make sure that something will not die.
Yeah.
That's the only reason. We've obviously discussed, you know, the recon drone, pulse accelerator drone, and, you know, with their other entries. Shielded missile drones, I think, are very expensive for 25 points. You've essentially got a missile pod on a shield drone.
Yeah, that's kind of expensive.
It's expensive, but, you know, you've got a gun on a shield drone still. Your opponent might not necessarily be inclined to target it, but then if you jump in front of Riptides with them, is it really worth it? And that's pretty much it. Like I said, drones are still going to be a staple in every army.
Just hopefully we'll see more variations.
Yeah, I've just realised shield drones have a 4+ invuln. It's Shadow Suns that have a 3+.
Oh, right.
Yeah, they're still going to be an absolute staple. I've also got 2 heavy gun drones there, which do have the a burst cannon and a Markerlight on there. You can't buy these anymore at Forge World. I actually asked about them in store when I was at Warhammer World, but you can, if you've got them, you can still use the rules for them. These guys can fire the burst cannons and the Markerlights. I just put them in because they look cool.
Yeah.
You know, the toughness 4, they've got 3 wounds apiece. They're okay, they're fun. And last but not least, we've got the creme de la creme. The Beast, the KX-139 Taunar Supremacy Armour. 30 wounds, toughness 8, 3+ save, 2+ ballistic skill, battlesuit keyword.
Yep. And let's not just let's ignore the price.
Money price
No.
and points.
Yeah.
This guy comes in at nearly 2,000 points. I would never ever field him in a normal game. When he was 1,200, people were taking him and a crap ton of drones, so the drones could just stand in front and not let him get charged or anything. He's got all sorts of rules. I want to say a massive thank you to Stephen Dunn, who actually gave me most of this Taunar. It was a little bit damaged when he gave us it, because the one he bought was damaged, and Forge World sent him a replacement. I didn't get the ankle joints, and some of the toes, and the burst cannons and the smart missile systems weren't there, and the head wasn't there, or the back gun. So I had to make the ankle joints and the toes, which I did with some wooden beads and some doweling. The toes are actually broadside high yield missile pods. I want to say a massive thank you to Will McKinistry for the spare Taunar head, because you get 2 when you buy the kit, Lucy.
Okay.
You do. So he sent me his spare one.
Nice.
So thank you very much, Will. I really do appreciate that. The burst cannons and the smart missile systems are spares from me crisis suits and stuff, which I built and magnetised and drilled a hole and magnetised onto the bottom of the Taunar. I also magnetised the tri-axis ion cannons. And that left me with just one piece missing. The Pulse Ordnance Multi-Driver, which...
I thought you said monkey.
No, I picked this up at Warhammer World when we were down there back in December. So, this guy is brutal, okay? So the weapons, tri-axis ion cannon, each one is range 60, heavy 9, strength 7, -2, 2 damage. Or if you overcharge, it becomes strength 8, 3 damage, but it's 3d3 shots. If you roll any ones to hit, you suffer a mortal wound. Now, of course, if you've got a commander there, or if you've got Markerlights on, or indeed if you've got that command link drone from...
I'm going to say Shadow Sun.
That's the one. Then it's incredibly helpful. Incredibly helpful. The Fusion Eradicator also has a very good argument for being used. I don't have one though. It's heavy 5. It's only 5 shots. Strength 8, -4, d6 damage. 24-inch range. And if you're within half range, it's 2d6, pick the highest. So it's basically 5 fusion blasters with a bigger range. The Pulse Ordnance Multi-Driver. Range 72. Macro 6, strength 12, -4, flat 4 damage. Now macro means if we'd shot him at the night, Lucy, each shot was doing 8 damage.
Is that what that means?
Macro means you double the damage against another unit with the Titanic keyword.
Oh.
Yeah. So I don't think Wraith Knights have got... Wraith Knights might have Titanic. I don't remember. But yeah. So that's strength 12, so you're wounded on 3s against more stuff for 8 damage. You can, of course, do the Pattern Bombardment, which is 2d6 shots, strength 8, -3, 3 damage. I don't think I would ever use that one. There is the possibility you could roll more, but average on 2d6 is 7.
Yeah.
I can guarantee myself 6 shots with a better AP and better damage. So I don't know if I would ever use the other one. There is 2 other weapons. You can take the Nexus Meteor missile system, which is a minimum range of 24 up to 120. 2d6, macro 2d6, strength 10, -4, 4 damage. The weapon may not target anybody within 24. You've also got the heavy rail cannon. Lucy's just smiled. However, macro 1. 1 shot. Would you care to hazard a guess at the strength? I'll give you a clue. The Supremacy railgun is strength 10.
20?
No.
12?
No.
18?
Yes. -5, damage 2d6.
Oh.
Doubled because of macro if you hit a Titanic. And if you roll a 6, you suffer an additional d3 mortal wounds on a 6 to wound. Horrible stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not buying one of them, ever. He's got 4 smart missile systems, so that's 16 shots at strength 5, at range 30, not needing line of sight. He's then got 16 shots with the burst cannons, again at strength 5. And in combat, he's got crushing feet, which is basically the same as Titanic feet. So make 3 attacks per attack.
It's also if you end a charge near him.
Yeah, there is a few additional rolls. So basically, the smart missile systems and the burst cannons can re-roll 1s when firing Overwatch. So imagine that hitting on 5s, re-rolling 1s. He's only got a 5-up invulnerable save, and Tony made short work with las cannons. Granted, we healed him 2 turns running. He still dropped to like, what, 14, 12 wounds?
Yeah.
Something like that. He's got cluster shells. Roll a dice for each enemy model that ends the charge move within 3 inches of this model. And on a 4+, the model's unit suffers a mortal wound. Not bad. Towering Colossus. He may move over units provided they do not have fly or Titanic keyword. Be careful where you deploy, because bearing in mind most of the Tau battlesuits have fly. So you can't move over them. And he can't end his move within an inch. It may only benefit from cover save if more than half of the model is obscured. In addition, it may fire at models that are within an inch of its base with any non-macro weaponry. So that also means them ion accelerators.
Yeah.
So not bad at all. He does have the battlesuit keyword, which I think is very bad considering the Storm Surge doesn't. I don't think the Storm Surge should have it, or it should have its own dedicated drones. But drones should not be able to intercept hits for this guy.
No.
I'm sorry. If a drone is flying around this guy's feet and a las cannon targets its head, how is it going to get up there that fast?
Yeah.
It's not.
No.
This guy should not have saviour protocols. So that almost brings us to the end of this video. We're going to have a look at some of the stratagems that we haven't really talked about, basically to end things on a nice note. Now there's a couple that we never really looked at because they weren't relevant because we were playing the Tau Sept. Drop zone clear for Farsight. Battlesuit units that can set up using a Mantis Strike ability can add 1 to the hit rolls. So basically if you deep strike your battlesuits in, +1 to hit is very good. 2 command points. Sasia, 2 command points. Pick an enemy unit visible to a character. That unit and all units within 6 inches gain a Markerlight counter. That's good. Hot-blooded for vior'la. Infantry can shoot twice this phase, but must target the closest enemy unit each time.
That's good.
Very good, especially if you're going fire warriors.
Yeah.
Positional relay. 2 command points. Start the moving phase, pick a recon drone and a unit of the same sept that has been set up in the Manta hold, and you can deep strike within 6 inches of the recon drone. It's 2 command points though. Chances are if your opponent sees a recon drone, if you ever take one, they're going to shoot it. Experimental weaponry, 1 command point. Reroll the number of attacks for randomly generated shot weapons. bork'an only though.
I was getting excited for that one.
Strike and fade for dal'yth. Unit can shoot and then move up to 6 inches as if it was the movement phase and advancing. And then focused fire, the Tau Sept one. It is very situational, but potentially very good. 3 command points, which is a lot.
But we used this turn 1 against the knight, and it paid.
We use this in combination with +1 to wound from Dark Strider, in combination with Onvar's Warlord trait, meant the Fire Warriors were wounding the knight on 4s, dropping it to a 4 save on 5s and 6s.
It worked very well, and it didn't hurt that I got 2 of the 3 command points.
Nope, she rolled a double 6 because of the Pure Tide engram chip. Recon sweep. Pathfinder teams can move 2d6 in the shooting phase, but can't shoot or charge. It's okay.
Depends again what mission you play on.
Yep.
jump on objectives, but
We've got Orbital Ion Beam. If a commander has not moved or Manta striked in the preceding movement phase, pick 2 points on the battlefield, 2d6 apart, and draw a line between them. Each unit suffers D3 mortal wounds on a 4+. That's 3 command points. It's okay, but
including your units as well, so
2d6, you might roll a 2, and then you've got to roll a 4. Emergency Dispensation, you can pay a command point to take another relic. None of the relics were really great besides the Pure-Tide Engram chip. Point Defense Strategy Relay, vehicles can overwatch on 5s and 6s. Well, Tau Sept have that anyway. Support Turret Replacement. If a turret has been destroyed for a Fire Warrior team, it can be replaced and does not come out of reinforcement points. The Branch Nova Charge for Riptides that can select 2 profiles. Uplink Markerlight, everyone knows from chapter approved. We've mentioned EMP Grenade and Hunting Grounds. The Command and Control node.
we used that.
We used that on the Riptides. Repulsor Impact Field. After the opponent successfully charges a battlesuit, roll a dice for each model in the enemy unit within 3 inches of your unit, and on a 6 you cause a mortal wound. I think that's only handy if, like, Orcs Charger.
Yeah. I mean, you can roll hundreds of dice.
Neuroweb System Jammer, 2 command points. It's -1 for an enemy unit to shoot. Failsafe Detonator. When a battlesuit is destroyed, roll a dice for each unit within 3 inches, and on a 4+ it suffers a mortal wound. And Multi-Spectrum Sensor Suite. Used before a battlesuit unit shoots. Enemy units cannot claim cover saves from that unit.
Sounds alright.
So not bad. A few expensive ones, but I think you can very, very easily build a brigade.
Yep. That was a big change of the stratagems.
Yeah, having actually access to them rather than just go, oh, we can reroll a dice, we can interrupt. Auto pass morale, which we're not going to be taking anyway, and D3 Markerlights. Having access to them means that you can now build your army around a theme, not necessarily a gimmick, but a whole theme. So if you want to go battlesuit heavy, there's a whole host of stratagems there. Your Warlord trait will affect how you go with it. For example, the one for Anvar is very good with Fire Warriors because you've got so many shots that are going to be wounding on 6s. It's going to be very helpful. There's a lot of very good stuff in Tau Codex. I hope you've enjoyed seeing the Tau army. There is 5 or 6 battle reports up currently. The narrative campaign, which unfortunately does use the index rules, but is still worth a watch because of the story and the animations and stuff that's on there. And of course the Apocalypse game that is already up as well. So I think that's pretty much it. Thank you very much for listening to us prattle on for however long this has now been. And please check out the rest of the channel, like and subscribe. And for 1 week early access to battle reports, please support us via Patreon. But until next time, guys, thanks again.
Bye.